But if you choose to vote for Mitt Romney, understand you are not voting for a Christian. Mormonism is not Christianity. It is a cult religion. I then went on to point out what I felt like was the hypocrisy of some evangelical leaders, some of them my own friends, who for the last 8 years of the Bush administration have been telling us how important it is to have an evangelical Christian in office who reads his Bible every day. And now suddenly these same leaders are telling us that a candidate's faith really isn't that important. In fact, one of those leaders, a good friend of mine, said on national television when it came to supporting Mitt Romney, he said, well, after all, we are not electing a theologian-in-chief, we are electing a commander-in-chief. My fear is such a sudden U-turn is going to give people a case of voter whiplash. I think people have to decide, and Christian leaders have to decide once and for all, whether a candidate's faith is really important. Christians need to remember that the kingdom of God is not going to come riding in on Air Force One. And I believe we need to remember that as believers. I think the danger in all of this discussion is that Christians sometimes are willing to sacrifice the temporal for the eternal. That in order to get their candidate elected to enact those laws that they feel are crucial, somehow we fool ourselves into thinking we're going to bring about the kingdom of God here on earth. We're not going to do that. I'm not willing to trade people's eternal destiny for some temporary change in the law. I think the danger in all of this discussion is that Christians sometimes are willing to sacrifice the temporal for the eternal. That in order to get their candidate elected to enact those laws that they feel are crucial, somehow we fool ourselves into thinking we're going to bring about the kingdom of God here on earth. We're not going to do that. I'm not willing to trade people's eternal destiny for some temporary change in the law.
Meanwhile, developing tonight, pressure is being ramped up on evangelical Christians to defend their support for President Trump, as left-wing pundits call them hypocrites for supporting the president, amid the allegations from adult film star Stormy Daniels. Joining me now, Juan Williams, co-host of The Five and a Fox News political analyst, and Pastor Robert Jeffress, pastor of the First Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas, and a Fox News contributor. Good to have both of you here. Pastor, I'll go to you first. What do you make of evangelicals being called hypocrites in the wake of these allegations?
Well, it's absolutely ludicrous. Look, evangelicals know they're not compromising their beliefs in order to support this great president. And let's be clear. Evangelicals still believe in the commandment, thou shalt not have sex with a porn star, okay? We're still agreed on that. However, whether this president violated that commandment or not is totally irrelevant to our support of him for two quick reasons. First of all, evangelicals knew they weren't voting for an altar boy when they voted for Donald Trump.
Right.
We supported him because of his policies and his strong leadership. And tonight you saw another example, the result of that strong leadership in the announcement from North Korea. But secondly, and Sandra, this is more important perhaps, evangelicals understand the concept of sin and forgiveness. Look, we are all sinners. We all need forgiveness. That forgiveness is available through Christ for anyone who asks. And whether the president needs that forgiveness for this particular allegation, whether he's asked for it, is between him, his family, and his God.
Pastor. Get in here, Juan.
Oh,
Good,
no, I mean, I love Pastor Jeffress, and I want him to make his case. But Pastor, I don't see how you can say that this is something people knew about. This story has gotten much bigger in the last 2 weeks since we had our previous engagement here on the story, because now you have the lawyer for the president, Michael Cohen, saying, oh, you know what? Not only did I pay $130,000 to try to silence the woman, now I'm trying to get an injunction or some kind of arbitration to stop her from talking yet again. Secondly, you have Sarah Sanders at the White House speaking out. And third, Stormy Daniels suing the president. Okay, so not only suing the president, but saying possibly she has text messages, pictures, or property. I don't.
But as of now,
how do you get away from that?
Allegations. Go ahead, Pastor.
What I say to that, What I say to that is, look, even if it's proven to be true, it doesn't matter because of what I just said. And Juan, listen, a blue dress was not enough to turn you into a red Republican, and I believe anything Stormy Daniels have will not be enough to turn red Republicans into blue Democrats.
But the big question
is about the policies and issues.
No, it's not. But by the way, what did Christ do at the temple? He threw out the money changers. Pastor, you cannot sell your integrity, your Christian values, and say, oh, because President Trump is anti-abortion, I'll support him no matter what. What happened to the principles? What happened to your love of people of character?
We're supporting him because of the principles that he stands for, not because of personal behavior. We all fall short. And when talking about what Christ did, he also caught the woman who was in adultery and said, I forgive you. Go and sin
and you know
no
what?
more.
She wanted forgiveness. This president, Pastor, has never asked for forgiveness, never acknowledged it.
You don't
he has
know
tried
that,
to
Juan.
silence
Juan,
me.
you don't know that.
Juan, we don't know what happens behind closed doors.
No, I'm talking about publicly, Sandra.
I have one very important question, though, Pastor. Will this support continue?
Yeah, you know, I'm asked the question, what would it take for evangelicals to walk away from President Trump? I'm his friend. I'll never walk away, but I think his policy changes, or if he were found to be in an adulterous relationship now, that would cause many people a problem.
But, Pastor,
I think the danger in all of this discussion is that Christians sometimes are willing to sacrifice the temporal for the eternal. That in order to get their candidate elected, to enact those laws that they feel are crucial, somehow we fool ourselves into thinking we're going to bring about the kingdom of God here on earth. We're not going to do that. I'm not willing to trade people's eternal destiny for some temporary change in the law.
We supported him because of his policies. 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 We supported him because of his policies.